Hey guys, Sean Bougie, surplusfundsriches.net. And hopefully we're going to have some people in here a little bit early. I started up early. I apologize, guys. I know that an hour out we send the wrong link, but looks by the number of people that are starting to pour in here that you guys got the right one, and that's a good thing. Some of you guys know the drill. If you can let me know that you can hear and see me okay, please always use the chat. Don't use the Q&A. As I always say, I know it's counterintuitive, right? It's a question and answer webinar. You should use the question and answer note. Please use the chat section for me. They're all private, which means they come straight to me and I can see them. You can't see other people's stuff. I will read them aloud and I will let you know that I've read your message and, of course, mention your name so you know that I'm talking to you. I did have someone say gray squirrel or something at one time just to make sure that we were live. Rachel says, yep. And then Rachel Jordan says, hear and see you. Roderick says, good. I see and hear you, Pete. Yes, it has been a good week, Pete. Pete was the recipient of 2 payouts this week. So that's a good week for Pete. I got to, by the way, I haven't been posting. We got to check on Friday and 2 more Monday or Tuesday. So I will get that up soon on the YouTube page. Probably won't do a board update until next week. But I will do some updates on checks that have been coming in and probably do one on checks that have been going out. I know a lot of you guys like to see those too. Margaret says hello from Florida. Hello, Margaret. Hasha says hi and hear you fine. And Isabel says see and hear you fine. Guys, you know the drill. Any and all questions are very much welcome. One of the things I want to bring up while I'm waiting for you guys to start asking questions is I had a really good question today, and the young lady said, do you work estates or that type of thing? Well, in Florida we will, given certain parameters. But one of the things I brought up with her was, if the deed, and you guys need to know this, if you send something into us, and let's say it's $80,000 retrieval, okay, one of 2 things can happen. Let's say that we do the skip tracing, and before we get back to you, we find out that one of them has died, and it was a standard deed, just John Jones and wife Mary Jones or whatever. Okay. In that instance, we can still go after $40,000 for the surviving spouse, regardless of anything else. So that's a deal we're going to pursue regardless. The other one is, let's say it was a $40,000 deal and the husband died, but the deed read John and Mary Smith, husband and wife, joint tenants with rights of survivorship, or any mention rights of survivorship. And let's say that the husband died prior to the foreclosure. Well, what that means is his interest in the property and therefore in the surplus funds transferred at his death. So all of his interest transferred at his death. And if it was before the foreclosure, it transferred to her. So we can go after all of that. In that case, the $40,000, we can go after all of it just in her name. And all we need is a death certificate. Really important to know that deeds are everything. We constantly tell you guys, read the deed, because that is all the information you need. Florida, you mentioned Margaret, you said you're from Florida. It's a little different down there on mortgage foreclosures. It's not necessarily the last owner prior to the sale. It is the owner that was listed on the list pendants on the foreclosure start, the foreclosure judgment, so to speak, the list pendants. Those owners are the ones entitled in a mortgage surplus in Florida. Those are the owners that are entitled, even if they quit claim to transfer the property prior to the sale. Not often that you see it's different people, but it does happen. Yvette. And by the way, Serena says hello. Hi, Serena. Yvette. Hi, Sean. How might the new independent contractor law that went into effect March 1st impact your ability to collect surplus funds checks from us? Well, I'm not collecting you. I think you meant for you. Doesn't really impact us, Yvette. I believe there's a minimum number of employees on that, but still, you guys are working remote. I'm not setting a time for you. I'm not sending anything like that. You can work it or not work it. And I just don't think it's going to have an impact. I did read it. And I have a CPA that keeps me abreast of these things. So I don't think it's going to affect us at all. If you are a LLC or subchapter S or even a chapter C corp, I am not obligated to 1099 you, but I'm still going to report it on my end, not necessarily via a 1099. If you're an individual, I've got to report it on 1099 income. On excess proceeds, Rochelle Jordan, sorry, Rochelle, I'll try to use just first names, and Cheryl Williams says hi. Hey. On excess proceeds, should I bother with folks that have an LLC? So Rochelle, go to your registration page, or your resources page, I should say, and it should be on there. I'm obviously, Jeff may want to chime in on this as well. He's moderating this now. And I know I promised that there was a good chance that both of us would jump on this, but we're going to do that on a later date. All right. If that says good, thanks. Yeah, I don't think it's going to affect us about the new subcontractor laws or independent contractor laws. Cheryl says, hey guys, Rochelle, on excess proceeds, should I bother with folks that have an LLC? So with LLCs, that's covered. I believe in the national, and I'll have Jeff chime in here too, but I believe on the national, we're not going to take that. That should be on your resources page or submission page. LLC is more of a membership than anything else. It's a little different than you guys think. It's not really a corporation. It's different. And as a result, it's a little more difficult to work with people. And I'm not going to get into the whole background with that, but that's the truth. Valerie, does the course provide step-by-step instructions if you are new to the industry? Yeah. So Valerie, what it is, you get an initial PDF, which is an ebook. It has screenshots in it. That's designed to be kind of a coloring book, step-by-step. The main mistake people make is they will read that ebook skimming it, and then they'll click the link to go to the resources page and watch the video training. And it's not, you've really got to read the ebook at least twice for comprehension. There are definitions in the front that will help you as you go. You don't have to memorize what a deed of trust is and all that necessarily right out of the chute, because it's covered again throughout the book. But you need to read the ebook, at least if you're going to partner with us, the partnership section, you need to read that at least twice for comprehension, and then click the link and watch the video for additional training. It is step-by-step. It also teaches you how to do it on your own. Email-based support is included. That's through Jeff. He also does the underwriting of the files. We thought that was a good idea because he's seeing what you're turning in. So by him not only seeing what you're turning in, but handling your support questions, we just thought that was a really synergistic move, having him in that position, both roles. And he underwrites all the files that come in. So that's important that you guys also understand his importance. He's the one that actually makes the rules for submissions and all that because it's his area. And the way we've always worked is if you're responsible for it, you have authority in it. If you have authority in it, then you're responsible for it. So that's how it works. Jeff says we do not partner with surplus funds where the ex-owner was an LLC or company. Answers your question straight out. Guys, I'm seeing a Q&A question. I'm going to answer this, but please don't use the Q&A. Use the chat. Andrea, my name is Andrea. I'm a newbie here from Texas. And then she says, please share any advice on doing research. Good states to start if you're new to finding information. Okay, so one of the things you guys have got to do right now, if you haven't already, or soon, is go to YouTube. Okay, and look up, it's the same name as our website, Surplus Funds Riches, all one word. Look that channel up because I've got a breakdown of what states to go after. Okay. Andrea, if you've had our training, you'll see though, because of the way we do it, we don't have to worry about cap states and that type of thing. We just don't, it doesn't apply to us. So it's really wide open. We won't work Oregon, Washington State, or Colorado. We may change that later, but for right now, definitely not Washington State, Oregon, or Colorado, unless you have the panning system, which is the one where you have to actually create your own list with mortgage overages. In about, I think we're accepting from around 17, 18 states right now. Unless you have that, that will let you work certain states. For instance, well, it will let you work certain states that you can't get a list for. But it's pretty wide open. Oregon, Washington State, and Colorado right now are no-go for us partnering with you. In addition, Florida is a separate program because the statutes are so different. So as a result, that is only available in bundles. And it, again, is a separate program because, again, the statutes or laws are so very different than any other place. Sorry, I've got to multitask, and that's not my strong suit. So anyway, anything oddball you've run into? I will say, while I'm waiting on some more questions, I'll bring something else up. It's happened more than once. You'd be surprised. Yes, there is the chance that there can be multiple foreclosures on one property. Here's what will happen. There's a first and a second mortgage, let's say, on a property, or first mortgage and a HELOC loan. Let's say first and a second mortgage. Let's say that second mortgage forecloses. It happens. They have to alert the first and notify anyone with an interest, but they foreclose first. Okay. They foreclose on the property. It's sold at auction. Somebody doesn't do the research, doesn't see that there's a first mortgage. And guys, there's a first mortgage here and a second mortgage here. And let's say code enforcement liens, judgments, whatever. Anything under that second that's foreclosing is wiped out. Not against surplus funds, but against the property. But what happens? This guy just bought, and we've seen this, bought the house when it was a second mortgage foreclosure. Did that second mortgage wipe out the first? No. Has that first been paid? Absolutely not. What's going to happen? That first mortgage, they foreclose on the property. They have an interest in the property. They're going to foreclose on that same individual, or rather the second individual that owes. They're really foreclosing on the home. Okay. They're going to foreclose on that house. Who gets what surplus in that instance? Let's say a surplus was created from the first foreclosure. The owner bought prior to the foreclosure, last owner prior to the foreclosure. What about the second one? When the first mortgage came in and foreclosed, who gets that overage? The person that bought it at the foreclosure with the second mortgage. It happens, guys. And then you get into wacky stuff where you're looking at states that have, oh Lord, what is that called? Where there's a priority lien from a homeowners association, super lien states. You have that issue where they can survive foreclosures. And they can actually foreclose on a property after it's been foreclosed on by a mortgage. So it gets wild. You're not going to run into that. Okay. It's very rare that something like that comes up. You're just not going to see that happen. But any and all questions, guys, bring them on. Here we go. Cherise. Hey, Sean, on auction.com, I get a list. And it shows sold to third party, but the deed is not updated. Some have been months and it still shows old deed. Any thoughts? Well, Cherise, I would not. First of all, we have to have the deed transferring at the auction in order to work out. And there's a reason for that. Stuff gets invalidated, right? The sale gets invalidated. It doesn't actually get foreclosed on for one reason or the other. The owner pretends like they're going into bankruptcy. All kinds of things can happen at the last minute. All right. Now, when you say you get a list, I'm not sure what you're talking about, because auction.com is maybe giving you a list of foreclosures, but not surplus. In our national system and in the Premier 16, if you want to work with us, you have to show that how much the money it is and what list it was on. Was a real list from a county or municipality, sheriff's office, whatever. We need to have that as a real list. Not so with the panning for hidden surplus funds. That's where we teach how to estimate in states where the mortgage foreclosures are handled by attorneys and they disperse the surplus so you can't get a list. We teach how to accurately estimate that list and work with us on that. But as far as the national and the Premier 16 programs, we have to have that deed, because without that deed, we don't know that it's transferred. We don't. So that's very important. It's a really good question, Cherise. Valerie, when does the June sale end? When we sell out. And I'm not being whatever. I'm not trying to just build up interest or whatever. The way we've been doing it in the past is we only offer our programs 1 or 2 days a month. What we decided to do this month is just put it on. And when we feel like we've reached a certain number, or we're happy with the number of people that have bought this month, we're just going to pull it off. That's why when you go to the products page, you'll see it says pricing is good till midnight and the programs will be up till midnight. There's no guarantees beyond that, just because we got tired of setting up in advance and then running audits each time. Now we're just kind of keeping track as we go, and we'll pull it down as we see fit on that. The sale, that's what you're going to find on there for now. We do want to raise prices on a couple of key bundles and individual books, but I'm not sure when we're going to do that. And I certainly don't want to use scare tactics or anything. I don't think it's going to be in the next week. Okay. Jeff just completely said the same thing I did. For panning, we need the foreclosure deed transferring to the buyer at the auction. We have to have that deed. And again, that's for a number of reasons, Jerice. That's for us to keep it tight and make sure that we're working on stuff that we can work. And it helps you guys too, because working on something that's not going to pan out. Andrea, is the 1 hour meetings recorded to reference to? Is the 1 hour meetings recorded to reference to? I think it would be helpful for me to learn how to be able to do research. This is a half an hour, Andrea. We'll be done at 8:15. We went to half hours, and it will be uploaded probably by tomorrow on the YouTube page, if not this evening. We always have this mirror on there, and then I make it live after the webinar. But typically it takes, since it's a half an hour, it takes a little while to load up on YouTube. But honestly, Andrea, with your ebook, you really don't, these are great to come to because there's a community here. Somebody always asks a question you don't think of. And it's great to come because of that. But you're not going to need it to function, especially since you have built-in email-based support through Jeff online through the website. Once you purchase, you're not going to need that kind of a reference. Rachel, any crazy stories this week? I love your stories. I have a really wild one, Rachel. So redemption, I don't know if you guys understand redemption, but in some states, you can redeem the property or buy it back after the auction. The owner has the right to go, oopsie, I didn't get the mail. I'm going to come back and buy the house back. Now, in the majority of the states that allow that, and it's usually up to anywhere from 3 months to, in some states, it's crazy, it's a year, where they can go, oh my gosh, I didn't see your, whatever, you got the notice. But anyway, I didn't see the notice. Let me buy the property back. And they let them do it. It's called redemption, post-sale redemption. In most states, they require that person, in order to buy that house back, that they pay the high bidder back. Okay, they can't just pay off, like it was a tax sale. They can't just pay off the taxes on that sale. They've got to pay back the high bidder that high bid. So of course, it just never happens in those states. In some states, they allow, and I'm going somewhere with this, they allow the owner to just pay off the taxes and some fees and get the house back. We did a deal in Tennessee, and we're gonna be changing our contract in Tennessee now, where it was a lot of money. It was over $120,000 in overage, and we gave him, well, it was right at 120. Anyway, we gave him $10,000 up front as good faith money because everything checked out. The attorney put in the documentation to start the process. These guys use that money to redeem the property. So now there's a demand letter out there. It never happened to me before, ever. This was like 2-3 weeks ago. Never, ever happened to me before. But now it's out there, and they bought it. They bought it back. So our issue at this point is we're going to have to get a judgment against them, hopefully perfected into a lien against the home. But that's the kind of wacky crap you can run into. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one goes. Never, ever had that happen. And it's going to change the way we do business because nobody's ever done that to us before, ever. Never been an issue. There are some people that have been able to submit a higher number of cases. Would it be possible to have a webinar with them sharing some of the secrets to their success? It would help a lot of us who struggle to find cases. So Jim, some of the guys that are really turning a lot are doing the panning for hidden surplus funds program. That's where you create your own list in states with mortgage overages. In states where the attorneys handle the foreclosure and the disbursement of the funds, it takes a lot of little ins and outs to get it. And it takes a while to build your list because sometimes you can't see the opening bid and the final sales price at the same time. So they have to watch and wait. And the panning for hidden gives them the ability, though, if they're really working extremely hard. There's Pete's in here tonight. Pete's working extremely hard. Yuri's working extremely hard. Marisol's turning quite a few. Serena, you've turned in quite a few. With panning, it's a little bit of a different animal. That's in our diamond bundle. It's very expensive. It's $2,497 because we want to really limit the number of people that are working that. But other people have turned in quite a few just off tax or even mortgage overages in those states that have a list. The bottom line, and I'm not trying to be derogatory toward you at all, Jim, but they're working very hard. I don't want to diminish. I don't want to say, oh, they've got some secret sauce, because they don't. They're working extremely hard and putting in the hours and putting in the time, and they're learning as they go. They're taking constructive criticism and they're running with it. And I'm very proud of these guys for what they've accomplished. I'm not their father by any means, but you know what I'm saying? I'm very proud of what they've done. But there's no secret to it. They're working harder than everybody else. That's really the bottom line. They're working harder and putting in more time. Asha, for panning, when there is a foreclosed property with a judgment amount in the county sheriff's list, I find a more recent court document with an updated debt amount. Should I include both the original list and the more accurate court document, or do you just want the court document showing the new debt amount? I'm going to let Jeff chime in, but I'm thinking we're not going to need the past one. We can, if the first one's referencing the same judgment, I don't think we need the old one. If you follow me, there should be a reference in it in that court document to that past judgment because it's going to be an amendment or updated. Okay, Margaret. With my luck, it was one of the records I submitted. LOL. No, Mario, it wasn't. The guy that submitted it knows all about it. Isabel, can we work Alaska? How hard is it? You absolutely can. Isabel does not have, Alaska does not have counties. They have boroughs. Keep that in mind when you're doing searches for that. Excuse me. Another place is, of course, Hawaii. A lot of people are not working that. Usually it's the administrative office of the courts there that's going to be able to provide lists. That's a good place to go as well. That's different. Haven't had a lot of success out there though. It's just a different animal and the people are a little different out in Hawaii. Another area we're working on is Puerto Rico, believe it or not. And hopefully that'll be added in the future. It might not. We might go in there and realize that it's something crazy. We had looked into Canada for a while, but the way Canada works, the laws are a little different and they use barristers and the barristers hold the money and it's just kind of wacky. And it would be a little difficult to use a U.S. central attorney to hire a Canadian attorney, and it'd be odd. That's what Jeff said, same as me. Get us the updated amount, especially if it's more. Tasha. Jeff, I'm actually answering correctly tonight. I can't believe it. And she says, yes, it is more. Thanks, guys. Freddie says, talk to me about Puerto Rico. Nothing to talk about yet, Freddie. There's a lot of, like when we come up with a new program, okay, when we do that on those years when we come up with a new program, what you guys don't see is that's months in the making in the background, right? Puerto Rico, I've just begun looking at it. I am working with a central attorney that I think can give me a little bit of headway, and I think that'll help. Rochelle says, I tried Hawaii, not easy. Jeff says, shocking, but I think he was talking about the judgment. The judgment being more, of course, it's more. The amended judgment. Okay, we've got about 8 minutes left. You guys are asking good questions, but you got to keep them coming. Anything that you're thinking of that's in the back of your head, because we are going to be really tight on shutting this down at 8:30. And then what happens when I say that is I usually get a slew of questions, and then Jeff will shut it down like 3 to 5 minutes early, just so I have time to answer all of them. So what I'm saying is, ask your questions, guys. Get them out there. We got a good number of people in here tonight. But again, Alaska, you've got to go after boroughs. Freddie, I'm from Puerto Rico. Freddie, I'm guessing it's, I know who you are. DLC at the end there, and can help in the government agencies and contacts. Great. Freddie, I'll let you know when we're further along. And I wasn't trying to blow you off, man. I would rather under promise and over deliver on stuff. So there's a lot of legwork still on our end. If I do need some help with that or some insight, I will definitely reach out to you. No problem. Rachel, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on unclaimed state funds? We actually have a program for that, Rachel. It's called Ultimate Finder. Extremely highly regulated, but we kind of teach you how to get around some of the regulations on that. You are going to need, in most instances, going after state unclaimed funds, you're going to have to be a registered finder 90% of the time. I mean, you just are. So it's a different animal. I think there's a lot of money there, but unfortunately, I also think it's easier for people to find out where it is too, and try to go around you, simply because most of the states have the state treasurer's offices have that up there. I think you have to get kind of wacky to make that work. Brady says, yes, sir. Hasha, what program is going to be for Puerto Rico? My husband is from there. What I'm saying is we're working on hopefully opening that up as an option to go after for surplus funds. But there's a lot of obstacles. I don't want anybody to take that as a promise. I am working with an attorney, a secondary central attorney, that tells me they're willing to give me the information I need to go forward. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. I just want to let you know that we're working on it. Yvette, are you still offering the program where you talk about how to claim surplus as a finder in the Diamond Bundle? Yeah, that's in a number of programs, Yvette. The Diamond has the panning for the surplus funds, which is our highest converting program we've ever launched. Makes up over 60% of what we're doing right now, and it was launched in 2023. That tells you how powerful that is. I would get the Diamond if you haven't bought it yet. Even if somebody's already bought another program, if they can afford it. I tell people never buy something that's going to put you out, take food off the table for your family. If you're not in a spot to buy it, don't buy it. But if you can afford it, the Diamond's a good deal, even if you bought other programs, simply because it's a ridiculous amount of money worth of it's like 25 programs. It's worth a ridiculous amount of money for what it's priced at $24.97. Freddie, I share your philosophy, so I understand 200%. Yeah, Freddie, I just don't want to over promise on anything. I just want people to know we're working on it, because I've actually gotten some questions on it recently too. Isabel, going to Puerto Rico next month. Let me know if I can help. Okay. Billy, with panning program, do you work multiple states at once to build your list, or do you focus on one state? You can work up to, I think right now we're accepting 17 states, and there is plenty of work to go around with those. Freddie, SPR is a circus, and it's more about who you know. I believe that 100%. Jeff, Yvette, are you referring to the surplus mentorship triple play? Yvette, you said still offering the program where you talk about how to claim surplus as a finder. If you're talking about the triple play that's in there, yes, I believe. Jeff, you can tell me if I'm wrong. And the Diamond 3.0. But if not, it might not be. If it's not in there, the panning's worth it alone just to buy the Diamond bundle. That's just an insane program. Like, again, the highest converting one we got. And Jeff and I are talking about it. Tonight wasn't a good night. We're probably going to both jump on a webinar here soon. If not in a couple of weeks, then maybe next month sometime. We used to do that where both of us were on there, and it was fun. We had a lot of fun doing that. It's just I've moved to Mid-Hill, and he's in a different city. So meeting halfway. I got to drive half an hour, and he's got to drive 20 minutes just to meet at the office. So it's not as easy as it used to be. We used to both be very close to the office. Yvette says, "Oh, good," and thank you, Jeff. All right, I think we're probably at the end here. I'm not seeing more questions coming in, and I'm pretty sure that Jeff has probably shut down questions. If not, if you can still see the chat up, ask your question right now, guys, because I know he'll probably be shutting it down shortly. A lot of really good questions tonight. Didn't mean to get everybody super fired up over Puerto Rico. It's just that I did want you to know that we're trying to work on it. It's going to take a little bit to unravel that, but we can do it. And I've got I do have an attorney network there that I think we can plug into. So I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. And make sure that Jeff hasn't let me know that we're off as far as new questions. No. All right, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'm not seeing new questions. This was a really good night. I appreciate everybody coming out. If you haven't bought, two things. So first of all, there's a file download on here. Get on that file download. Oh, I got a message now. You can end it. Okay. So two things. There's a file download. Jump on it right now and download that if you see that in front of you, because it's going to disappear. Guys, if you're watching this on the YouTube, on the playback, on our YouTube channel, on the replay, obviously you can't interact with me because this is a live event. But you're not going to be able to see the file download. So go to surplusfundsriches.net. Excuse me. Click on products. Put your information in. You can unsubscribe at any time, guys. It's not this. We're not some crazy organization trying to get your private information. You can unsubscribe, whatever. Do that. It'll drop you on the products page. There's an insider's guide, which is pretty much the file download here tonight. Go get it there. You can pick it up. It'll go over all the different programs, and it's a really good recap of all of them. Also on that products page is all the products we currently have for sale. Love to see you come on board. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I hope you guys have all gotten something out of it. Jeff also put the direct link. Guys, jump on that now because I'm going to shut this down. The direct link to the products page where you don't even have to sign in. So, and again, if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously you won't have that capability. But I'm going to go ahead and end it. I hope everybody's had a great night, and I hope you have a great weekend.